Live from Corndog News Center Communication. This is the Knowledge Brothers.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Good day to all of you. I'm Pabito Noli.
I am Jose Noli, and I'm Nicholas Noli, and we are the Noli Brothers. First things first, we have some amazing trivia for you today that you might have a clue on what our episode today is. Now it's Noli's Trivia Exposed! Did you know that those video characters in Noli's Castle are based on people son?
Yes, it is. Amazeball, isn't it? It also, the character in the El Filibusterismo, Maria Clara was based on Fiancé Leonor Rivera and Father Florentino was based on Father Leonzo Lopez. The parish priest of his hometown was what? Next trivia, say?
Yes, the brother Nicholas. This trivia, guys, is so exposed recently among by our historians and been spreading news around social media that's been gossiping about. If you've heard anything about Gregorio Pilar, it's probably this young and handsome general who stole a lot of hearts. Whoa! Yes, the general of Kabayan was a playboy. However, his heart finally settled in when he met Dolores Mabel Jose. And he was actually looking forward to marrying her as the war ended. But you all know what happened. Our brave general died in Tira's past. And what makes this more heartbreaking? They actually found a handkerchief that had her name embroidered on his body. He carried her with it till then. How sad. But it actually told what a truly love is. And it proved the book till then do us part. Next trivia will be gone.
Thank you, bro. Guys, pay attention. As I give you a tip that might be connected on today's episode. Did you believe how history books ever talk about the women in the revolution?
What?
And we probably know about Venezuela and Venezuela. But did you know that the Venezuela is actually a part of the Katipunan? And beyond that, the Katipunan was actually at a women's chapter.
Really?
Yup. The women's chapter consisted mostly of wives, sisters, and close relatives of the Venezuela. The region between the conflicts were applicants because of the lack of what they did. Amazing. Go girl power. I'm really proud of you. Talk to me, yes.
Thank you, brother. You're really much fun. Good God, God made God. Here we have first time data about two individuals that in a flesh that are connected to the noble knowledge. The thing is, they're correcting each of their weaknesses and thus understand each other. Thanks to the research paper that they work with them both, where they are always taking fight and their loud voices are messing with the neighborhood.
And now, let's meet these two individuals to know the cause of this fight and might solve their problems. Good day, both of you.
Good day.
So we heard about complainants. About that two of you arguing the answer in the question for research in Noli Mitangere Nobel.
Oh, here's the thing. Hey, I was the one who was asking, not you. No, it's me. It's me. It's me.
Will you please calm down? Both of you.
Sit down, sit down.
Okay, we continue, Esther. What's the cause of this argument?
We are conducting some research. Then three questions pop up because we are finding out the truth about the novel and to know its importance. But eventually, we see different answers which we also observe. But we observe it differently.
Excuse me, Sage. Have you ever seen even a little similarity from both of your answers?
No, not. That would be because my answers are more professional than yours. Oh, really? As far as I know, you are the most stupid person I've ever met within our research. No, because I can do all by myself.
For us to get these statements to be cleared, we have invited some professionals to discuss the questions that are needed to answer it clear. Lexinor, will you please introduce the professionals we have invited here in our show?
Yes, Nolly Brothers. I am now with our professional that we've invited for our discussion. Let's welcome our first professional, Mr. Mark Louis Pasis, a teacher at San Jose Litek Senior High School, major in history. Hi, sir.
Hello.
So, would you please tell us why you chose this major?
Actually, when I was a child, when I was in elementary, I was fond of reading history books. When I was in grade 5, I was able to read history books of world history that has a very thick books. And then at the same time, I'm very fond of reading news outside the Philippines. So that makes me interested in taking history. At the same time, I am very fond of mythology and Roman history. So that's the reason why I took that course. And dreaming of to becoming a lawyer someday. So that's it.
Amazing background story, sir. So I have here three questions. The first question is, what do you know about the publication of Noli Me Tangere and how it affects the Philippines?
First of all, let's have a clear picture here that there are illustrados. So when we say illustrados, they are the enlightened people. They are part of the middle class that want their sons to study in Europe because they thought that Europe is a hub for liberal ideas and they cannot spread the liberal ideas in the Philippines because of the reason of the church is controlling the government at the time. So there is a censorship between the church and the government. So that's the reason why the Ilustrados studied in Madrid or in France or in Europe. So as part of their plan, they will make. Rizal wrote a story about Maria Clara and Crisostomo Ibarra, which actually his reflection of being a revolutionary thinker. And then he published Noli Me Tangere, actually not in the Philippines, but actually in Brussels, in the States. And it was being funded by some of also the illustrados that time. So because he doesn't have money. So some illustrado person lent a money for it to be published in Brussels, in Ghent. And then it was published there. So many illustrados also helped him to make it more I have many copies of the Enola Metangere at that time. Actually, the manuscript was in the National Library, the manuscript of Enola Metangere. So, what about the book? Actually, it affects the people towards to their perspective on the Spanish authorities that the Spain should reform its own son, the Philippine, or its colony. Because most of the colonies of the Spain that time are being independent. Like Mexico, Peru, Chile, Argentina, and they thought that Philippines need also reform. Because the Ilustrados believe that if there is a reform within the Philippines, there will be a change. There will be a changing of tone. That okay, the Philippines will accept your colonization policies, but there should be a reform. So that's how it affects the Filipino. But there are also misinterpretation about this. Like, for example, that Rizal is against the church. That's how the friars read the book. That's how they understand the book, not the reform. They understand that Rizal is an anti-church person. That's why he was being persecuted. So that's my answer.
Now that we've got clear views from question number 1, let's head to question number 2. Do you think that novels in the Philippines are as important as they used to be when the Nolly was published in 1887? Are people still... Now let's head to question number 2. Do you think that novels in the Philippines are as important as they used to be when the Nolly was published in 1887? Are people still inspired by novels? What's your say about this?
I think novel is a cultural treasure. At the same time, novel is a reflection of an author. How does he or she saw his environment or his perspective towards to other people? Novel is the product of a art. It's a product of an art. Di ba we have the National Artist for Literature. So those persons or those artists are being awarded because of their contributions into the arts and the literature. So the first thing that very important is novel is a treasure. Second one, novel is a reflection of the society. The third one is novel is also a way how authors influence other people. Because when we say literature, it doesn't mean that okay, you have the books, but it stirs it ignites something to the readers that each readers might saw something common. Like for example, if you read Molomitangere or El Filibusterismo, most of the people who read that have the common purpose now. That Rizal is implying that there should be a reform. To the second novel, there should be a revolution. That's the second thing. So, if you read novels, mostly about politics or about the society, you should know how does it give its own message or this idea. Does it talks about revolution? Does it talk about reform? Does it talk about the daily doings in the politics or whatever it is? That's why a novel is important. Reading is also important. So I think if you are a reader of a novel, you are a critical thinker. You are a critical thinker because you are thinking what's happening there in the novel. You are imagining, you are using your brain to the fullest extent. So that's how important it is to steer something which is very critical and it's a cultural treasure and I think it's a reflection of our society, just like language and literature.
I see. So, for our last question, What was it about reading long texts, such as short stories or novels, that make it different from reading tweets and Facebook status posts? What is the importance of literature for the Facebook generation? Sir?
I think for now, literature serve as an entertainment. Unlike before, that literature served as a machine or a portal or a machine that you can give messages to these people that other people cannot understand, so that other people, like for example, the Filipino Estrados in the Philippines, might understand what Rizal's message is. So that's how you heed the message. You're using literature to heed messages sometimes. Or to hear, or if you have a propaganda before now, I think literature today is more of entertainment, more of it's not more of giving more sensible ideas unlike before. But I think there will be a time that the writer will write something very important, very that will much affect our conditions today. Like for example, that a writer that will write about the history today or the social conditions today, the poverty. So for now, I hope that there will be a change in the tone of writing. For example, di ba, you're writing in Wattpad. So that's for example of literature, electronic literature. Facebook, you are writing stories in Facebook. That's an example of electronic literature. But it's not enough for me. Unlike before, now you are writing a book, a very long book, but have a common message. That it drives people to have a transformative and innovative change in the society. So that's my answer.
So now that we've got better understandings based on Mr. Pass's perspective and knowledge, we would like to thank you, sir,
You're welcome.
for enlightening us and our viewers.
Okay.
So let's now hear from Mr. Jericho Sabado, a history teacher also at San Jose Luis Senior High School. Hi, sir. So, sir, can we have a glimpse of why did you choose your major?
Actually, my major is history, and perhaps this is I think it's when I was in high school, it's my favorite subject. So from that, uh, I go with history, and that's my major. And really, with history, I read a lot of books anyway because not only reading books, but of course because of it's a test that my brother is also a history major, and also some of my cousins are very they like reading. So from that, maybe it's influenced me to have history as my major. So from that, I really love history.
Actually, sir, we're here to clear some thoughts and answer some questions. So, for our first question, what do you know about the publication of Noli Me Tangere and how it affects the Philippines?
Actually, you actually right now I am teaching resource life in college, and it's part of the curriculum is to let them read about Noli Me Tangere and introduce this more. Noli Me Tangere is I think it's the English for it is Touch Me Not. Actually, it's a novel about the fight, the fight of Filipinos to Spanish. Okay, they want to be free, and but because of this novel of Rizal, it enlightened them to fight for the freedom. Okay, and in fact, when Bonifacio read the Noli Me Tangere, it gives him a tips that we should fight for this Filipino. They should fight for this Spanish, and it's really a big help for the Filipinos when they read that Molly Tangre. I think it's Chris from Ibarra and Maria Clara. They are part of this Molly Tangre.
Ano English mo po? Isn't it amazing to have a quick look from the past? Now let's head to the next question. Sir, do you think that novels in the Philippines are as important as they used to be when the Nolly was published in 1887? Are people still inspired by novels?
I think yes, because of that knowledge, the Filipino people come up with the idea that they should fight. And from that, and still, if you read the novel Tanade with our present time, I think it inspires us to fight for our freedom. Okay, and that's maybe the idea of the novel Tanade. It's also Andres Bonifacio, when you read the novel Tanade, really inspires to come up with the idea that we should fight for our freedom. That's maybe until now, in our present times, the idea of the Malimit Tanare.
Thank you, sir. And for our last question, what was it about? What was it about reading long text such as short stories or novels that made it different from reading tweets and Facebook status posts? What is the importance of literature for the Facebook generation?
I think some of our youth now are busy doing Facebook and other apps, but I think we should read literature and it enlightens us. And with our readings, it enlightens us and it makes us not only to have knowledge about literature, but for us to realize the importance of reading. Okay, and we should read literature. Okay, that I think uh, it should be to address to our present youth now. Not only Facebook and other apps, but they should read literature.
Sir, for sharing your knowledge and enlightening us with your wisdom. Now that we got a better understanding from Mr. Jericho Sabado,
Oh, thank you, Lex.
Going back to our two requested clients, let us now see their reflections about the answers of the professionals. So, yes sir, will you tell us about your opinions, statements, and etc.?
I told you I'm right, Sage. That El Fili and Noli Me Tangere are all about the Philippines culture. Novels are still useful in this stage, especially in texts. It serves as a source of information about what happened. Sorry, Esther. I thought I was right. I thought Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo was all about Jose Rizal's life. Also about Philippines culture. I'm sorry, Esther.
Did you learn a lot? That's all for today, folks. We just had to solve another problem and an issue by our resources and people.
Hope you watch our next episode and witness another case problems of different people. If you need us, better to know us. Hashtag 143.
Again, another case was solved by
The Naughty Brothers!
James, enough of that! James! James? Lunch is ready. Can you please get out of the comfort room now?
Dear, I know what you're going through. Get out of the room and let's talk about it.
Come on, let's eat and let's talk. Oh, shit.
Dear, I know what a broken heart feels. I've been there, but I surpassed it. I know you can too, but you need to be strong, okay?
I love you.
I love you too, son.
How deep is your love? Your love. How deep is your love? I really mean to love. Cause we're living in a world of fools, breaking us down when they all should let us be. We belong to you and me. Oh, how deep is your love? How deep
It is nice to bring your family at the table. No Ligo sardines. Love each taste that brings us together. No Ligo.